Channel. My name is Brittney. This is the Brittney Reacts show. And on this show, we talk all things movies and entertainment. Today, we have a little bit of news to go over. We are going to go over some box office news at the start of this stream. We're going to talk about Sinners and how well it's doing and how small of a drop it just had. We're going to talk about some other box office news. But then after the box office, I thought I would actually open this up to be an Ask Me Anything. Now, when I say Ask Me Anything, I do mean ask me specifically only stuff about movies. I only want to hear about movies. Do not ask me about anything else other than that. So do not please don't ask me about my private life or anything like that. This is just only ask me anything about movies. So I do want to say hi to whoever is here. I know this is just an ask me anything, so may not be a ton of people who join today. But I do want to say hi to Natanya, hi Mauricio, hi David, hi Alexander, hi Naomi, hi Cream Cheese, hi Del Pedro, hi Alexander, hi Vincent, hi Nicholas, hi DeBoy, hi Editing Geek, hi Kasarim. Thank you to each and every one of you who is here. I deeply, deeply appreciate it. Hi Hearts Candy, thank you as well. Alright, so like I said, let's go to box office news first, and then we'll get into the Ask Me Anything. So, the first thing I want to go over is just to make sure that we're all up to date on what's going on with Minecraft. So, Minecraft recently crossed $810 million globally. It's doing very well. It's having like short drops week to week, which means that the audience that is seeing this movie is liking it. I still stand by my opinion that based on the videos that I've seen of this movie, I don't think this is the best audience we should be courting to the theater, but Hollywood is struggling, as we'll talk about a little bit later, so I guess a win is a win. But I'm much happier that Sinners is doing better than Minecraft, to be honest. But did anyone actually end up seeing Minecraft? I know there are people who really defend this movie who are like, this is not that bad, but I just can't imagine it based on the trailer. It just looks so unappealing to me by the trailer alone that this is just like the kind of slop that like I just want less of from Hollywood. So I still don't plan to see it, but anyone who has seen it, is it good? Do you think it's worth this much money? What are your thoughts here? Um, Vincent says Minecraft was made for the money like the recent Disney animated movies. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely made for the money. And I've been saying for a long time on my channel that I knew this movie would make money. Just because Minecraft is so popular. I mean, Minecraft YouTubers do really, really well here on YouTube. So I'm not shocked that it's doing well. I just wish that, like, it was a better movie. Or at least a better looking movie. Du Bois says, nope, not really interested in it. Much as I love Minecraft as a game, the movie just doesn't really appeal to me. Yeah, so you like Minecraft as a game, but even the movie doesn't appeal to you. I don't know. I think it's definitely appealing towards a very young crowd. I think that's one thing. And the other thing is that I think this movie like appeals to people who spend all day on TikTok. It just seems like it's very much geared towards that generation, so I'm not surprised they like it. But yeah, I'd rather talk about Sinners doing well than Minecraft doing well. I'm almost as disappointed by this as I am that the Mufasa movie ended up doing well. But yes, Sinners had a 6% drop. Only 6%, which is one of the best drops in box office history. And it earned $45 million in the film's second domestic weekend, which is really amazing. And it had one of the smallest box office drops for a major movie in modern history, almost matching its box office weekend. If you guys remember last weekend, we talked about how it opened to like 48 million, I believe that was the number. So the fact that it's 45 million in its second week just shows you not only is the word of mouth strong, but this movie is truly becoming a phenomenon. And I'm so happy for it. These are the type of original movies that have like amazing cinematography that you can tell like there's real passion behind it. It's not just corporate commercial slop like the Minecraft movie. Like you can tell this is like real artistry happening here. And this is why I'm much happier that Sinners is doing well than Minecraft, because Hollywood, they're looking very closely at what movies are doing well at the box office right now and which ones aren't, because a lot of movies aren't doing well, and just generally the industry isn't doing well. So there's a lot of people like very worried about the state of the industry, as they should be. But I don't want them to learn the wrong lessons and think, oh, let's quadruple down on video game movies. They don't even have to be good. They don't have to look like real movies. They can look like pure AI slop. And it's so funny. The people that complain about AI the most are the ones that like I'm seeing champion this, and I'm like, this movie looks like it was made by AI. I would not even be surprised if they used some AI in it. But anyway, I just think that this is really good for Sinners. I think all of the actors and I think Ryan Coogler will definitely get a huge boost from this. I think they should. I've been seeing a lot, particularly around the main two lead female actresses. I think, in fact, I've been hearing more about Haley Steinfeld and Uwo. I don't know how to say her name. I'm really sorry, but this actress here, the main two female leads in the movie. I've been hearing more about them than I have been about even Michael B. Jordan, which I think is kind of warranted, to be honest. Despite like how much I love this movie and I really do like it, I honestly thought that the Michael B. Jordan, I thought Michael B. Jordan himself was the weakest one in this movie just because he played two twins. And to me, I didn't feel like he played the opposite enough for me to always be able to tell who was who. Whereas something like Mickey 17, where Robert Pattinson had to play a million different people, and I felt like each one was very different, I did not feel like Michael B. Jordan, as much as I like him, I didn't feel like he was as strong of an actor here playing multiple roles as like what I saw Robert Pattinson doing just a few weeks ago, or months ago. Oh my god, it's been months. But yeah, other than that, I think everyone should probably really take away something here. I'm hoping for Best Supporting Actress nominations for the two female supporting leads. If Michael get ones, that'll be cool. But I think the women honestly stole the movie for me. And Ryan Coogler, I would say Ryan Coogler definitely needs a Best Director Oscar nom. Honestly, there's not even a lot of Oscar caliber movies that have come out this year. So this one to me is like already the main like main movie that could take home everything just because there isn't much competition. But maybe we're still early in the year, things could change. But I think this movie's definitely going to have a lot of Oscar potential in the future. I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat saw Sinners and you liked it. That's great. Du Bois says, you still haven't seen Sinners. Not sure if you're going to see it in cinemas. I would say this is the kind of movie that actually does, I feel like, benefit from a communal experience. I love hearing people's reactions, not when they're getting so rowdy that they're throwing popcorn everywhere and standing on people's shoulders like they're doing with Minecraft. But I love when an audience is engaged and they react appropriately. Like, I feel like that really adds to a movie's experience. I actually personally don't like when I go see a movie and like the crowd is like totally silent. If I wanted to go watch a movie in total silence, I would just watch it at home. Um, but like I feel like Sinners is one of those movies where it does benefit from like just a good communal experience. I wouldn't want to watch it for the first time by myself. I don't think it would be the same. Um, Woon, is her name Woonmi? Is that how you pronounce it? Woonmi? She's really good. She's been good in everything I've seen her in, but this has been the best. All right. I see a couple of you have some questions, but I want to finish box office before we get to those. So let me get to the rest of my box office news. So yes, so far Sinners has crossed 160 million globally. The film has a $90 million budget, so this will definitely at least break even, although I think it'll make a healthy amount of profit. Even Tom Cruise is feeling the hype. He made a post on his official Twitter page, which I think is actually really nice of him. He said, "Congratulations, Ryan, Michael, and to the entire cast and crew. It's a must see in cinemas and stay through the end credits." Tom Cruise, he's always championing movies. He's always championing the entire industry, really. So it's really nice to see him championing this movie. He must have been really worried about the box office. Again, if you guys have been following me for a while, like this year has been pretty bad for Hollywood as far as box office. Like a lot of movies just have not been doing well. So the fact that this original movie is doing so well is like a huge sigh of relief for a lot of people in Hollywood, including apparently Tom Cruise. So yeah, this is just showing you how big of a deal it is when you got Tom Cruise promoting this movie, even when he has nothing to do with it. Hollywood just really needed this huge win, so I'm glad that people are appreciating it as they should. I think that's really good. Even Michael B. Jordan was like, nah, this is crazy, which I'm sure he was geeking out because he's a bit of a geek himself. But speaking of the box office problems, as I've been talking about, like a lot of the movies just haven't been doing very well this year. So Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarandos said that releasing movies in theaters is an outmoded idea for most people, and that Netflix is saving Hollywood. What is the consumer trying to tell us? That they'd like to watch movies at home. And I have multiple issues with this statement. I don't agree with it. I don't think that it's that movie theaters are just inherently outdated and that they're all going to go away one day. I do think that the number of movie theaters will likely shrink, and I do think that movie going is already becoming a more of a special event kind of thing where you only go if it's like a big event movie. But I truly don't think that movie theaters are going to go away altogether. I still think that there's value to a communal experience. I do think that watching a movie in a group of people can still be really, really like, it can make you like the movie more. It can make the movie stick with you more than just watching it home by yourself. I think there's still a lot of benefit to going to the movies. So I don't think they're going to go away forever, but I do think that they're evolving, and I do think that not every movie is a theatrical release. I think some films do just work better on streaming now. I think the types of stuff that do well in theaters are the type of stuff like Sinners, where it's like very cinematic. It's very like made for the big screen. I think that's the kind of stuff that's going to go to theaters now. I think anything less than that, honestly, at this point, should just go to streaming. But to say that Netflix is saving Hollywood is quite a statement. I would argue that Netflix is one of the ones trying to kill Hollywood in order to remake it in its image. And I think it's doing it successfully, by the way. I wouldn't say Netflix is saving Hollywood. I would say they definitely contributed to its demise, actually. But what are your thoughts on Ted Sarandos' comments here? Do you think movie going is like toast? Do you think it's in the past? Or do you think, like me, that it might become smaller and more niche, but it will always stick around? Because that's honestly what I believe. I don't think movie going will ever completely go away. I just think it will evolve. It already is evolving. Oh, Nicholas, you actually agree with Ted. You said, unfortunately, I feel like cinemas are on borrowed time. I think some are. I think with even within 5 years, I think we'll see a pretty dramatic reduction in movie theaters, at least in the U.S. Um, but I don't think they're gonna go away entirely. I just think that, like I said, I think movie going is going to become like going to the theater, like to see a Broadway show where you only do it for something really, really big, and nothing else. So that's where I see the future of this going. And I'm going to get up really quick because I forgot to charge my phone. So give me 1 second. I need to go get something really quick. Let's see if I can get this to work. I know, so professional. You come here for the most professional show. I know, I'm sorry. But this will literally die on us if I don't do something, so I kind of have to do something. Ah, okay. Moving a bunch of stuff over. Again, sorry. Ah. Okay. Now I think we're back. My bad. Nicholas says, I get what you're saying with the theaters comparison. Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen with movie theaters. I think it's already happening. I think that's why Ryan Coogler, who to me has shown that he has a lot of really good business sense, he worked with Christopher Nolan in learning how best to capture the movie through IMAX. And I think that was so smart because I think Ryan Coogler understands that in order for movies like this to be successful in theaters, they have to have like big blockbuster quality around them. And a way to do that is to make it an IMAX film. So yeah, I think that these movies are going to have to become a big event films like Sinners is becoming in order to do well. I know not everyone's going to be happy about that, but I just think that's where the direction of the movie theater is going. I'm sorry about Prancer in the background. Jared the Great says, I think it's smart that theaters are releasing classic movies like Star Wars. Oh, speaking of which, that is a fantastic segue. Thank you for bringing that up. Because, yes. Ooh, nope. Revenge of the Sith they re-released Revenge of the Sith, and it opened with 25.2 million domestically, which is the second biggest opening weekend for a re-release in history. So that's crazy because they're already saying that this is the most profitable Star Wars movie release in years. And they didn't even make it themselves. Like Disney Lucasfilm did not make it. So the fact that the most profitable movie they've made in years is one they didn't even touch themselves has to sting a little bit. And I think it again just shows you the incompetence of Kathleen Kennedy. There are so many people who want to defend her, like, oh, look at what she did a million years ago. Like, she made all these successful movies. And that's true, and I'm not taking that away from her. But I thought that the saying was always like, what have you done lately in Hollywood? And I don't think there's anything lately that Kathleen Kennedy has done right. So I don't get all of this, like, there's suddenly like this pushback against the hate that Kathleen Kennedy gets. And I feel like I don't understand it because I feel like it's totally warranted at this point. I think she's brought a lot of it on herself. And this is one of those things where I'm like, I really don't understand why she hasn't been fired. She must have it in her closet. Only she can leave at this point. Because how? Okay, this is why I think this looks really bad for Kathleen. Because when Mandalorian and Grogu comes out next year, and it'll make more than this, definitely, but I don't think, I think there's a real chance Mandalorian and Grogu doesn't even open to over 100 million domestic. And the reason I say that is not because I'm trying to be any kind of hater, but because I'm looking at the data. By the time season 3 of The Mandalorian ended, almost a third of the audience was left. Meaning, like, almost 70% of the audience had left and stopped watching The Mandalorian. So I don't understand why they decided to make a movie that's basically season 4 of a show that the majority of the audience had stopped watching. And I really don't think Mandalorian and Grogu was going to do super well. And that's why I think this is extra embarrassing, because The Revenge of the Sith is probably going to do better in retrospect than how that movie's going to do. I'm not saying in total grosses, but in sheer profitability and optics, I honestly think Revenge of the Sith would probably do better than Mandalorian and Grogu. I don't have much hope for that movie. But it also shows that Star Wars is still alive. It shows that Star Wars is still alive. It shows that there is still a fan base for these movies that will show up for them. Even if it's the old ones. Revenge of the Sith is actually my personal favorite Star Wars movie, so I'm if any Star Wars movie was going to do well, I'm happy it was this one. But yeah, I just think that this, I guess it's kind of a double-edged sword, because it means, like, yes, there's still an audience for Star Wars, but also it's really embarrassing that they can't even do this. They didn't even this is like the most successful thing that they've done in years, and they had no, like, hand in it. Like, that's really embarrassing for Kathleen Kennedy. But what are your thoughts about this? Are you guys still into Star Wars? Anyone care? Astronomy says, shows the value of making good movies. Unfortunately, Disney will misinterpret it as the value of nostalgia. Oh yeah, that's definitely the lesson they're going to get from this for sure. It's all going to be nostalgia, 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 which is what they're already doing. I don't know how they can double down on it even more than they already are, especially for Star Wars. But they will find a way, because Andor, if you guys know Andor, that got released this week. At least, was it this week? Or was it last week? Andor just dropped, like, the new season, and, like, it's not on any chart. Like, people are not watching it. In fact, I think I saw a tweet. I didn't get to fact check it, but I saw a tweet that said that it got, like, less than 2 million views across 3 days. That's horrible. That's, like, worse than what a lot of the animated Star Wars movies or Star Wars shows get, and those don't get a lot of ratings. So we're talking, like, Andor is doing worse than, like, The Bad Batch now, which is really, really embarrassing when, if you guys remember, we talked about how Andor has a budget of $600 million and how it's, like, the most expensive Star Wars anything, even though it's, like, the least watched Star Wars anything. It doesn't make any sense to me why they're spending so much money on that show when no one's watching it. It makes, like, 0 sense to me. But yeah. Any thoughts? Is anyone actually watching Andor? Um, Calexis says Gen Z is growing up and getting nostalgic. We better get used to it. People have been nostalgic about these movies, and I'm technically part of the generation that would be nostalgic for these movies because I was like very, very little when these films came out. I was like a toddler when Phantom Menace came out. So I am part of the generation that would be like nostalgic for the prequels, but I didn't watch the prequels when I was a kid, so I'm not nostalgic for them. I just like the prequels more because like I don't know, after watching all the Star Wars movies, I just happen to like them the most, other than Phantom Menace, which I didn't like, but I liked the other two. So yeah, I don't know, but I do think like the generation under me is like they don't care about Star Wars at all. Yes, I did hear about the rape scene in Andor. Yeah, I think that's. It sounds like they handled it tastefully, which is great, but I also don't think that Star Wars is meant for subject matter like that. Like Star Wars is supposed to be like a very black and white sort of mythic fairy tale for kids. It's not supposed to be like this sort of gritty, raw, morally gray, let's talk about really serious issues type of franchise. And I think that's also probably why Andor isn't doing that well. It's just because I don't think it screams like fun. I tried to watch Andor. Like I watched the first couple episodes of the last season. And I was so bored I couldn't finish. Like I just don't know. I feel like the audience for that show is so small, but the audience that does watch it swears it's like the best thing ever, and I'm just like I just don't see it. And no one else seems to see it either because no one is even curious enough to binge it because everyone's just like it doesn't look like Star Wars. But yeah. I guess I would misplayer. You said younger millennials never cared about Star Wars either. I guess I'm technically a younger millennial. I'm like my birth year, depending on where you look at, I'm either a very young millennial or a very old Gen Z. Literally, it's different on every site because it like changes between the 2 years. So I don't really know what I am. All I know is that like I was like a baby when those prequel movies were coming out, and like I was a prime audience to be like loving those movies, and I still didn't even care back then. So I don't know. Um. Anyway, I think I had one other topic for box office. Oh yeah, well Lilo. This isn't box office news, but I just wanted to share it. Lilo and Stitch just had a new live action remake. Sorry, a new live action teaser. For the new Lilo and Stitch movie, and it continues to look amazing. I think all of the aliens look so true to what the original cartoon looked like. I think the character designs are probably one of the best things. They just look so accurate. I think Lilo looks so adorable. Like they got the perfect little girl to play her. I think this looks really good. I think this looks strong, and I still think this could be a really big hit for Disney. I think this, Zootopia 2, and Avatar will likely be Disney's biggest hits of the year. Because I don't think Thunderbolts is going to be a huge hit. And I tweeted some tweets that were a little controversial that I deleted. Maybe I should have left them up. Um, but I will talk about Thunderbolts maybe in the Ask Me Anything part. But I don't think Thunderbolts is going to do well. Let me put it that way. And I'm losing confidence in Fantastic Four as well. So I think those are the only three movies that are going to do well for Disney. So yeah. What are your thoughts? I guess we can kind of transition to Ask Me Anything. That ended up taking a lot more time than I thought, just going over box office. Maybe I should change the thumbnail. I don't know. But anyway, you can ask me about Lilo and Stitch, or you can ask me about anything in movies. Again, if you weren't here at the beginning of the live stream, please only ask me anything about movies and entertainment and Hollywood. Please do not ask me about my personal life, because I will not answer you. So yeah, just ask me anything in the chat, and we'll do this for like the next 30 minutes or so. And the reason why I'm doing an Ask Me Anything, by the way, is because as I was looking through the news, there wasn't a whole lot that I was like super excited to talk about. Really, the biggest news story was how well Sinners did. I guess maybe we could talk about Thunderbolts a little bit. I guess, you know what? While you guys think of a good question, let me go over my Thunderbolts fiasco. Some of you probably don't even know what I'm talking about because I deleted the tweets pretty quickly. But I tweeted a comment, or actually two comments when the social media embargo for Thunderbolts lifted last week. So if you guys didn't know, a lot of, well, I wouldn't even say a lot. I would say it's like some critics, but like mostly just fan influencers that got to go see Thunderbolts last week early for fan screenings. And a lot of the reviews and reactions to the movie on social media were very positive. I will say they were very positive. However, social media reactions, initial social media reactions, are almost always super positive. That's what I was trying to get across in my tweets. It's very frustrating when like I try to like be very rational and reasonable and explain my thoughts and people just want to like reduce it down to just, oh, you're a hater, even when I'm giving like a very detailed explanation of my analysis. But anyway, let me explain. So, the people that usually get invited to this kind of stuff are the most like Disney shill of Disney shill kind of people. Especially because this literally was for a fan screening. So like I was actually looking through like a lot of the reviews and reactions to Thunderbolts and I was clicking on people's user profiles just to see who they were, if they were anyone credible or like from anyone like from a reputable publication at all. And literally one after the other for several of the tweets that I saw, the people who were tweeting those like, big praise for Thunderbolts were people who had like 70 followers on Twitter. I'm not kidding. I had more followers on Twitter than all of these so-called influencers who were telling people this was the best Marvel movie they'd ever seen. Like, it was so clear that Marvel only chose like the most Marvel friendly, fan friendly people to see this movie. Literally, I dare you. Look up Thunderbolts reactions on Twitter and just click on any random name from someone who saw that movie. And they will have like less than 100 followers and like rarely tweet. But like somehow so many of these people got to see this film. All I'm saying is I think people should really take a gigantic grain of salt here with these reactions because they're almost always positive initially because these people want to keep their access. But these were particularly like specially chosen people to go see this movie. So that's what I was trying to say in my comments where I was just like, be careful, y'all. I know there's a lot of buzz for Thunderbolts, but a lot of these users are a little sus. And on top of that, from the few critics, like notable, reputable critics from actual notable publications that did comment about Thunderbolts, a lot of them had like, if you really read between the lines, they would say a lot of kind things about the movie. Like a common thing everyone said was that Florence Pugh is amazing. But like if you really read between the lines, some of them were like, kind of messy in places. Need more action. Not the best. I literally saw one actual critic said, well, not one of the best Marvel movies. And I'm just like, oh, okay. So it's really not that amazing. Because like the whole marketing around Thunderbolts was all about how like, oh, it's an A24 movie. Oh, this one's actually really good this time, we promise. And while it might be a good movie, like, it doesn't sound at the very least that it's a bad movie. But I don't think it sounds like it's a film that's going to live up to the hype from the actual reputable critics and what they have said. If you just ignore all the literal, like, 200 follower people on Twitter that got to see this movie and, like, actually look at the critics, a lot of them are wrapping, like, legitimate criticism in, like, fluffy language because, again, they want to keep their access. So I think there's a very real possibility, and I could be wrong about that. I could be wrong about this, and I'll be the first to admit if I'm wrong. But if I'm wrong about this, but I don't think I will be. But I have a very strong suspicion that when the Rotten Tomatoes score for the official critics actually drops, and I think it drops sometimes this week, I think it's going to be lower than people expect. Based on the glowing word of mouth, you would think this RT star is going to be in like the 90s or something. I don't think it's going to be in the 90s. I think my prediction would be that it's in like the low 80s, maybe even high 70s, based on some of the comments that I've been seeing. And I think that's going to shock people just because of how they've been marketing this movie. Um, and I think that could depress turnout for the film. So that's why I really don't have a lot of faith in Thunderbolts, and why I made those tweets that I then deleted, because I got so many comments of people being like, why are you just being a hater? People love the movie. And I'm like, I'm trying to explain something to you, but anyway. Yes, that's how I feel about Thunderbolts, and if you saw those comments, that's what that was about. Um, okay, so what is that? Aries Fries says, would you ever want early access to movies? Yeah, but in order to get that, I feel like you really have to be a shill. You can't say anything like that's too constructive or too mean. And if you do say something like negative, it has to be like wrapped in like so much flowery language usually. Like for example, with people who review the parks, like the Disney parks. I love the parks. I go to the parks all the time, so I do follow a few YouTubers who like vlog going to the Disney parks. And even though I find their content really fun and entertaining, I don't fully 100% trust their opinion, because I know that especially the people that get the passes to go review stuff early, those are the ones that are the ones that Disney chose, because they're like usually almost always totally positive about everything. And they will even tell you, in fact, if you are on Disney Twitter at all, there's a bit of a scandal brewing in the sort of Disney park space on YouTube, because more and more influencers are kind of getting called out for the fact that they are kind of lying about some of their actual opinions just to keep their access. And I feel like the same thing is happening in the movie space. That's why you're seeing so much of the initial social media reactions be really positive when like the actual views are not as positive. It's because all those people who get that initial access just want to say whatever they can so that they can keep that access. And so that's why whenever I see those initial social media reviews, I always take them with a huge grain of salt, and I never take them as gospel. So I would encourage all of you to be skeptical as well. Not until we officially get a Rotten Tomatoes score and we see what actual views are, do I feel like you should take reviews seriously at this point. Josh says, I'm looking at the Epic Universe first reactions, which are positive. Yes! In fact, I was thinking of the Epic Universe reactions as well, because I've been watching some of those videos too. Again, some of them I do really trust to give honest opinions, and usually those are the ones that don't get like any access at all. But like even the ones that do, like they're still entertaining. I just don't like fully trust their opinion. The Blue Gecko Nerd says Rotten Tomatoes and IGN are both part of the same boat. Yeah, I would agree. Astronomy says, I believe the Rotten Tomatoes score drops tomorrow. Okay, concerning that it is so close to release. Yeah, I mean, it is concerning that it's so close to release, but I can also see Marvel just generally being nervous, because they've always had like, or at least not always, but recently they've been having a lot of problems with critics being on their side, so I can see why they would wait until the last minute. I don't think that totally means it's bad. But I'm just trying to read between the lines here, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't think that it's going to be like this knockout movie that the marketing made it seem. Denisha Clowers says, see, I couldn't have early access to anything, especially reviewing a movie, because I'm not easily impressionable person. I'm not sugarcoating anything. Yeah. I mean, as a content creator, I had to make a choice pretty early on about like how honest I want it to be, because I could have made a very different channel where I was like super positive all the time, and I only made content that was positive about Disney. But that wouldn't have been true to my actual feelings, and I wouldn't have been true to myself, and I wouldn't have been true to my audience. And that's why I didn't go that direction. And that means that Disney probably doesn't even like me. They don't send me nothing. I'm probably, if they even know me, and they probably did at one point, they probably have me on some like blacklist or whatever. I don't care, because at least I get to say my honest opinions and I'm not bought. So I'm okay. Oh, you're going to Epic Universe for Christmas, Eugene? That's amazing. I'm so jealous. I want to go to Epic Universe so bad. In fact, I thought about delaying my trip to Universal this Christmas so I could go to Epic Universe. But then I thought, I'm such a Harry Potter fan that I actually went to Harry Potter World in Universal the day that it opened. And I'm not talking about Diagon Alley and the extension in Universal Studios. I'm talking about the very first Harry Potter World that was in Islands of Adventure with Hogwarts. I went to Islands of Adventure the day Harry Potter Land opened because I'm such a nerd. And I waited 10 hours in the heats for some butter beer. Yes, I did. Okay. Um, so like I really want I can't wait to go to Epic Universe. I want to see the Ministry of Magic. I'm so excited about it. I'm also really excited about Dark Universe too. That looks really cool. I don't really care about the other lands, but those two lands I'm excited about. Okay, so like just generally ask me questions. Rodney Dollar says, "Do you think Wicked for Good could be just as good as Sinners?" Oh, I hope so. I hope it's better. I hope that, I mean, I hope it definitely does better than Sinners because the first one did better than Sinners. So, my hope is that A, Wicked for Good at least doesn't embarrass itself, like it doesn't like flop or something, and that B, that it actually does better than the first Wicked just so that there's some, growth there. I really hope that Wicked for Good does really well. I'm cheering for that whole franchise. Um, well, it wasn't just for Butterbeer at Aris. I was being a bit facetious. I waited 10 hours to get into the actual Harry Potter land because there were that many people there trying to get inside. Oh, I didn't wait that entire time just for Butterbeer, to be clear. Rodney Dollar says, "My prediction, hopefully Wicked for Good gets some Academy love." I hope so. I'm so frustrated with the fact that the Academy is like so biased against genre movies and blockbusters. We'll see. I think Sinners will really test the Academy and their pretentiousness. Like, cause they have a thing against horror. They've always had a thing against horror, which is why it was a big deal last year that The Substance got so much attention, even though it didn't really end up winning anything, because like horror and genre usually doesn't do very well at the Oscars. So if Sinners does do well and like actually takes home major awards, that would be huge. I hope the Academy can like take their heads out of their butts and like award something that dares to have a little bit of genre in it. I hope they do. I'm cheering for it. Um, Cheetah Viper says, "Brittany, what are your thoughts on current and future Marvel projects and what will happen with Spider-Man and the villains like Kraken and such?" Well, thank you for your question, Cheetah Viper. Um, Thoughts on current Marvel projects? Well, I already told you about Thunderbolts and how I could be wrong, and I'll tell you if I'm wrong, but I don't see that movie doing well. Um, I'm becoming increasingly concerned about Fantastic Four. I don't see that movie doing well either. Honestly, I think all three Marvel movies could flop this year, which would be very embarrassing. And the next movie that comes after these three movies is Doomsday, which is weird because what could very likely happen is that Marvel leads into Doomsday off of a bunch of flops, which they've never done before. And that's very risky. Like not only does Doomsday not feel like they've really built up to it because they haven't at all, but also I just feel like they start filming May 1st for Avengers, Doomsday, and they are releasing it next May. They're only giving themselves a year to complete this movie, and I feel like the only way they're going to do that is if they cheat a lot of corners on visual effects and story, and I'm nervous about this movie doing as well as the previous Avengers movies, and I'm worried about it being good, to be honest, because like I just feel like all of the ingredients for disaster are there, especially because I also just read that apparently they do have a script, and this is a rumor, but apparently they do have a script, but it's a working script, so they're gonna keep working on it while they're filming. And I'm just like, I feel like this is just a recipe for disaster. I don't know, man. I'm a bit nervous for Doomsday and for Robert Downey Jr. because if Doomsday doesn't do well, that'll be really embarrassing for him. So I am a little nervous about that movie. Um, I will be watching the new Lilo and Stitch movie, and I will do a review on my channel, so make sure you're here for that. Um, I can't believe there is some. Speaking of the Academy, I can't believe there are some Academy voters that are complaining about having to watch everything. Like that's literally your job. Like these people are paid millions of dollars to go on screen and pretend to be people, and they have the gall to be mad when they actually have to do the bare minimum of watching the things that they need to vote. Like this is why people are like losing interest in Hollywood and celebrities because these people act like such entitled a-holes. Like they act like they're so like out of touch with the rest of the world, and then they get mad when people don't like them. It's crazy. Jal Pedro says, "Is there a movie you liked the first time you saw but wasn't as good upon rewatching?" Oh, that's a great question. I like that question. Was there a movie I liked at first but I didn't like later? Hmm. That's a good question. I have a lot of examples of the opposite, like movies that I didn't like at first but they grew on me. But I can't think because usually if I watch a movie and I don't like it, like I don't ever watch it again. It's just out of sight, out of mind. It's like I never saw it. I don't go back and watch it again. So I don't know. I can't think of one where like I really didn't like something and then I watched it again because like that just like almost never happens. Um, I don't even have an answer for that. I'm sorry, but that was a good question. Um, Natanya says, "Why wasn't this a requirement before?" I have no idea. I think the industry likes to coddle these people, and I'm glad that they're not getting as coddled anymore. Lewis says, "What do you think about the casting announcements for the Hunger Games Sunrise?" Oh yeah, there were a bunch of casting announcements. Most of the people I hadn't heard of before, but there was one that I was really happy about, and that was what's her name? She was just in the Ghostbusters movie. She's been in a lot of stuff. I know her name, but I can't. It's not coming to me. If you guys know who I'm talking about, please bring her up. But she was just cast in it, and I love her. She's great in like everything that I've seen her. McKenna Grace, that's her name. McKenna Grace. She was just cast in the new Hunger Games movie, and I really like her. So she's the only one that I knew. So she's the only one that I'm really excited about in that cast. But I'm really happy for her because I think she's really talented, and I think she's been looking for like a breakthrough role for a while. So maybe this will be it for her. So we'll see. Um, Astronomy says, "How extreme of an impact do you think China's new film import restrictions will have on Hollywood?" I think we'll have minimum as long as they're the only ones doing it because Hollywood movies weren't doing that well in China to begin with lately. And they never got that much money out of Hollywood anyway. So I don't think it'll hurt them that much. I think the biggest impact will be just it might hurt headlines. Like, you can't say a movie made X amount of money when it could have if it went to China. Like, but it still made money. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't think it'll be actually that big of a deal. I think it'll be a bigger deal if, like, other countries follow suit. But China alone, I think, will be okay. Vincent Hall says, "The Disney's future is really bad. I lost faith in Disney since late 2010s, early 2020s. What was the moment that I lost faith in Disney? Because I had it for a while. What was the moment where I was like, I think this is going too far? I mean, there were several moments. Like, I didn't like the Beauty and the Beast live action. In fact, I didn't like any of the live action movies, as you guys know, until I saw Aladdin. So that was, like, I think part of it. I was like, why are they ruining these classics with these, like, stale live action reboots? Um, and then, like, I haven't liked a lot of the animated movies, particularly with Pixar. I think Pixar has largely fallen off, Inside Out 2 aside. The only other movie that I've liked that Pixar has made in this decade is Soul. I've only liked Soul and Inside Out 2. Those are the only Pixar movies I've liked this whole decade so far. So like I don't know, just generally I feel like a lot of their movies just aren't as good anymore. I feel like they've become a very reactionary company, and I don't really understand what they believe in anymore. I don't even feel like they even care about being a family friendly, kid friendly like company anymore. Like it's all just about trying to appeal towards Disney adults now. And I feel like that's been at the expense of like trying to like get a child following. Um, but maybe they're not worried about that since people aren't having kids. I think that could be a real thing that they're thinking about. I don't know. But I don't even feel like they care about being like a kid friendly brand anymore, which is just like that was your whole thing. So I don't know. I just feel like I don't understand what Disney is or what they stand for anymore. That's how I feel. Donna Taz Media says, you know, it's crazy how one brother ended up having two box office hits back to back with Minecraft and Sinners, especially since they seem to be on a losing streak. Yeah, the fact that Warner Brothers managed to have two hits is good for them. I wouldn't say that makes them back completely. Let's see how Superman does. But I think it's at least a good run for a studio that really needed it. So, good for them, I guess. Or really, I don't care about Zazie. Good for the people who needed the job. That's who I care about. Cheetah Viper says this adult thought Sebastian in CGI was nightmare fuel. Yeah, it was. I don't like how they designed a lot of the animal creatures in the Little Mermaid live action movie. I think they made them all look way worse and creepy. Like whoever designed the Lilo and Stitch characters should have been on Little Mermaid, because like Lilo and Stitch, those creatures look amazing. The fish and like Scuttle and Sebastian and the Little Mermaid just look like creepy CGI uncanny nightmare fuel. James Talks Movie says, what are your hobbies outside of YouTube and movies? Well, I do theater. I do a lot of theater, community theater. I like to write. In fact, I like to write stories. I like to keep up with a lot of what's going on in like the world. um, yeah, I do a lot. I have a lot of varied interests actually. Oh yeah, Final Destination. I'm really looking forward to that one, Josh. You know, you guys know I'm not a horror person, but I actually really like the Final Destination movies. I grew up watching them. So I'm actually looking forward to this one. Oh, Rodney Dollar. I did see Peter Pan and Wendy apparently came out 2 years ago today, which is crazy. Because I remember making that video reviewing Peter Pan and Wendy, and it does not feel like 2 years ago. But anyway, yeah, that was another live action remake that I really didn't like at all. It was so gray, so bland, so dark. I was like, where is the life or magic here? It was the most depressing looking kids movie I'd ever seen. I was like, what? Why did they do this with Peter Pan? Um, Tanisha says, Brittany, do you think Coraline should be a live action or should they have a second movie? I feel like Coraline live action would be terrifying. Like, would you guys want to see, like, a real human with, like, buttons for eyes sewn into their face? Like, I feel like they barely got away with that in stop motion. I feel like in live action, that wouldn't even be rated R. We're talking, like, NC-17 now. I don't think you can do it live action without, like, neutering some of the, like, scary aspects of it that make it really good. So I would say I'd prefer a sequel. Um, the Wednesday trailer. I did see some of you guys talk about the Wednesday trailer. So, the Wednesday there was like a new Wednesday teaser, not really like a full trailer. It was good. It was fine. You guys, I've already told you guys I'm not really like into that show. But I do know it's very popular. I think it will continue being popular. I think Jenna Ortega is perfectly cast in that. Um, yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about Wednesday. I'm sorry. I'm just not really into that show. Um, da, 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 da. Donataz Media says, you know what, one good thing I will say about Snow White is that I really like the color palette and the lighting in the movie. Yeah, I think that was maybe the only thing I liked. And that whole movie. It was really not a good movie. I wouldn't say it's the worst live action remake. I would still say that probably goes to Mulan. But I would say maybe it's like the second worst after Mulan, for me personally. Du Bois says, what kind of folk tales would you want to see turned into a Disney movie? Go back to Brothers Grimm stuff. Like, Disney was in their bag when they were, like, adapting that stuff. Or more like just German fairy tales in general. Like, whenever they do a German fairy tale, they tend to do it really well. Just go back to, like, all the classic fairy tales. Like, all their biggest hits, really, or most of them, are based on classic fairy tales. I don't know why they stopped adopting them. They really should go back to it. In fact, I would say stop coming up with. If you do come up with like fully wholly original stories, just make sure it's good. Unless if you can't make it good, then like at least get your ideas from classic literature. That's what I would say for Disney. Ivor Connor, you've been a member for 20 months. That's amazing. Oh, thank you. Thank you for always being here. You're so kind. You're always here. I always see you, Evil Connor, so thank you. I honestly, I love you guys. I love talking to you. You guys are just so fun. Really great. Oh, James, you liked the live action Snow White. Well, film is subjective. You can like it, but I don't. Alexander Padilla says, hey, Brittany, what are your ideas for Sinners 2? For me, I want to see Stack and Mary follow their adventures from the 1940s to present day. I would love for them to stay back in time. One of the things I liked about Sinners was the fact that it took place in the 30s, so it was very old-timey, and I liked that aspect of it. If you've seen the movie, I don't know if I should spoil that. I'll just say that if you've seen Sinners, at the end, there is a time jump. I won't say who's in it or to what, but there's a time jump. And I don't want the sequel to take place in that era, because I feel like that just... It's just not as interesting to me. I want it to stay like in a historical franchise, but I don't know if that's what Ryan Coogler has in mind, so we'll see. Evil Connor, thank you so much for the super chat. You're so amazing. Thank you. I have a review of the Final Destination Bloodline trailer on my channel and have more Final Destination content coming soon. Hope everyone's good. Evil Connor, are you doing more like horror level content? Is that where you're going to focus on? That's cool. Nah says, what's your prediction for #1 movie this year? Avatar. I feel like that's a pretty safe pick. Probably Avatar. If I had to choose a second one, maybe Zootopia 2. I think Zootopia 2 will be huge. I think that's for sure a $1 billion movie. And then for #3, I don't know. I guess it depends on if you think that the Lilo and Stitch movie can make more than Minecraft. So #3 will probably one of those two. So that's my guess for top 3. Thoughts on Naomi Scott? I love her. I saw her in Smile. If you have not seen Smile, go see Smile. Smile 2, to be clear. Smile 2 is amazing. Yeah, I think Naomi Scott should be in more things. I think she's really talented. In fact, I think she deserved an Oscar nom for Smile 2. And yes, I will even go as far as to say that I thought Naomi Scott was stronger in Smile 2 than, what's-her-face was in The Substance, Demi Moore. I'm not saying Demi Moore was bad in The Substance. I just think Naomi Scott was better in Smile 2. That's how good I thought she was. I thought she was snubbed for an Oscar nom, to be honest. I'm glad you guys agree about Naomi. I love her. I really do. I think she's great. Felix, is that Felix? No. FreeLex2007 says, what are your thoughts of old Disney Channel and Nickelodeon shows getting revived? For example, Wizards of Waverly Place, iCarly, Phineas and Ferb, and so more. I couldn't watch the iCarly reboot because even though I loved iCarly as a kid, it was one of my favorite favorite shows growing up. I couldn't watch the reboot because they tried to make it like the super adult show now, and I have a problem with like trying to pervert innocent kids stuff. Like, I just don't like it. Like, there was a scene I saw on Twitter, that's how I know it was in it, so I didn't watch the reboot. But I saw there was a scene where like Carly was considering a threesome with someone, and I was like, I don't want to see my childhood heroes contemplating a threesome. Like, call me a prude or whatever, but like, I would like to maintain the innocence of these characters in my mind. So like, I just did not want to see iCarly for that reason alone. And like, if the other shows follow suit, which I doubt, but if they did, like, I wouldn't want to watch them either. So we'll see. We'll see. Although I actually didn't like Wizards of Waverly Place when I was a kid. Even though I was like the prime age for it, I preferred the other shows on Disney Channel at the time. Like, I was a true Hannah Montana girly. Hannah Montana obsessed. Forced my dad to take me to see it in concert when I was a kid. Yeah, I was like really into like Hannah Montana and like Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. I wasn't into like Wizards of Waverly Place. I don't know why. I was never into that show. Um, Dog SBFF says, I'm trying to find. Are you okay? I hope you're okay. I hope this live stream can provide you with some comfort. Yes, I love That's a Raven as well. That's a Raven was another show that I really loved. Um, Jaleesa says, "What live action remake do you think Disney would do a good job on?" Always Atlantis. Will they do a good job? I have no idea, but I think Atlantis actually lends itself to a live action remake a lot more than a lot of the other stuff they're doing. Oh, Negret, you lost interest in the iCarly reboot. Oh, I'm sorry. I did love iCarly, man. That was my show. Which is why I couldn't watch the reboot because I knew what they would do with it, and I was like, I don't want to watch this. um, Prancer is a Chihuahua. All right, I think that's it. Yes, I did it for 30 minutes. We talked. We had a great live stream. This is pretty much everything I wanted to talk about today. Thank you for being on my show. Sorry this was a quick one. There was just not like a ton of interesting stuff that I wanted to talk about this week. So that was pretty much it. Thank you so much for everyone being here and just continuing to be on my channel. I love this community that we're building. I really love you guys. I'll see you guys next week on the show, and I'll see you then. Bye.